it started, over 10 years ago. And the inspiration was really my children and my Lego issue. I have 3 boys, and 10 years ago, they were small. And you know how Legos are, you put them in these big bins, buckets, and baskets, and you have thousands of tiny little pieces. And my kids always wanted the stuff at the bottom, which are the little minifigures, the guns and the heads. And, no, they're not worried about the top pieces. So what do? They dump them out. They spread them all out. And I'm a neat freak. And I will be the first to admit my OCD neat freak, right? I didn't like all this stuff all over the place. And so every night I spent hours just cleaning and cleaning because my kids were small. It's like they could help me, but not really. And so one night I thought, well, why don't I just take a sheet? I'll lay the sheet out. They can dump them on the sheet, and then I put the sheet back into the bin or basket. That's how I was doing it. I thought, this is really dumb. Like, why doesn't Lego have a smart solution to clean them up? Because I'm one of millions of parents that have this problem. And Lego is a multi-generational toy. I mean, you probably played with Legos when you were growing up. In fact, you may still have them in your attic. My husband had his space Legos. So we've been playing with Legos since the day I met him, and we still have thousands of dollars invested in Lego. So that's really where my pain point began, right? How do I make life easier for this mom who likes to clean up, who doesn't want clutter, who doesn't like a mess? I want play for hours, clean up in seconds. And that's kind of always been my mantra and my tagline.
Welcome to Invention Stories on YouTube. My name is Robert Baer. I'm your host. And today our interview is with Amy Fazackerley and her invention, Lay-N-Go. Please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Now let's roll.
And so I created a mat that lays flat. It has a lip so that the pieces stay on the mat, and it just cinches closed in seconds. So the kids could play the way they wanted to, which was spread everything out and see everything. And the parents could clean up in 2 seconds. And really, it was kind of a win-win. So I started with this concept, and I started really big. The 60-inch was our first product line. And then we miniaturized it to make it so that we used to always take our kids, we still do take our kids out to dinner and travel. So how do I incorporate that for travel and outside of the house? Then about 2 years into it, I realized that, this is a very niche product, and I loved where it was going. But what about me as a mom and makeup? So I was having the same problem they were having, but with my makeup. Makeup bags are tall and skinny. They zip across the top, and women just dig and then they dump them out. So I was taking a hand towel, I was putting it in the sink, I was dumping my makeup in the sink, and then having to pick up all the pieces and put them in the bag. And it occurred to me, and our solution was not patented yet. We were patent pending, but why couldn't I take that concept and pad it and quilt it and remarket it to, which the moms were already buying the play solution. Let me just test market and see where this goes. See if the moms like it for them, right? And that's when it just kind of really bloomed, because it went from a niche market product to a mass market product. Women love options. They love colors. They love sizes. This could go, I'm thinking this is a product that if it takes off, it could go into QVC and Target and Bed Bath & Beyond and Nordstrom and all the places that I shop as a mom. And I've always, when I design and think about designing, it's always, I'm the customer. I'm the one that's out shopping. I'm the one that has the problem. So I always think of it as, what would I want if I'm looking for this solution? And so that's really where it kind of transitioned from a small specialty product to a mass market product.
Invention Stories on YouTube is sponsored by the Chin-Up Strip Company. We previously have shared our interview with Dale Miller, who invented chin-up strips to ensure he only breathed through his nose while sleeping. No more dry mouth, no more loudmouth snoring. Just imagine waking up feeling better rested. But don't take my word for it. The Chin-Up Strip Company is now offering a free trial pack for you to try for yourself absolutely free, including free shipping in the United States. To order your free trial pack, please visit www.inventionstories.com/free.
And then in 2015, we ended up getting our first U.S. utility patent. 2018, our second patent. 2020, our third patent. And we just recently got our fourth utility patent. But as we've evolved over the 10 years, so has our product line. So we've then moved it from the play to the beauty. We added a men's stop kit. We added a wired solution, a nail solution, a pet solution. We're working with the military. So we have a military defender line that we've added. And so we just kept evolving, taking this really simple cleanup solution, which is all machine washable, by the way, because remember, I'm a mom of 3 boys. So, that was another like number one check that had to happen for any product that I was going to design. And so it just evolved into, what started out with Lego has now gone into lipstick, and now we're working with the military, and it's just been a really fun, adventurous ride. So that's really how it started, thanks to Lego and my cleaning up.
The pain point. And you literally have a pain point that everybody who's ever stepped on a Lego's got. Is that what it was? Did you just lose your mind one day after stepping on one?
Absolutely. And Robert, the thing is, there was just nothing on the market. I was the consumer. I went to Target. I went to Container Store. I went to Walmart. I went to Amazon. I went to every single retail shop and online platform I could find. And there was just no good solution on the market. And I thought, this is the craziest thing. What are moms doing? What are parents out there doing with these Lego? I was just new to the Lego thing, and I didn't grow up playing with Lego too much. So I didn't understand people are crazy about Lego, right? There's even an adult fan of Lego contingent out there that people just travel around and build Legos. Adults, our age. And they have these big conventions of adult fans of Lego. I had no idea. So when I started down this road and researching, I couldn't believe of the Lego phenomena that was going on out there, much less the kids and the parents that, they're really, really expensive. So, yeah, I always like to say that we're problem solvers for what started at Lego, and then it was lipstick and makeup. It's your wired solutions, exact same thing. Like when you have all these gadgets, these electronic gadgets, wires and plugs and adapters, where are they? They're at the bottom of your bag. Well, doesn't it make sense to open up a thing and have it lay flat? There's no digging and dumping. Okay. Yeah. What about for nail polish? Exact same thing. It's very niche, but women, what do? They put them in shoe boxes. They put them in various bags. They have to take everything out on the counter. Oh, and then by the way, when they go to paint their nails, they're painting on, they have to use a magazine or a paper towel because they're painting on their marble. Well, you don't want your marble to be painted red. So, our bag, it just opens up. The paint is all in the bag. The tools are in the bag. You paint right on the mat. So it's all in one. So we're just solving these little problems that people have, the day-to-day problems that me as a mom or me as a consumer have. And I just literally went down the line. It's like my kids, my husband, my makeup, my pets. When you go to travel, I had the same problem. Well, I could use a sheet, but then it's really not cushy and comfortable for my dog, right? I could take my huge LL Bean bed, which is, like a $350 bed, which takes up my entire suburban back. Well, I also have 3 kids. Where am I going to put all their stuff? So I just created a portable bed bag. So it's a bed, dog bed, but it cinches up into a bag. So you can put your food and your, toys and your leash and everything in the bag. You carry the bag, you open it up, and it's now a bed. And by the way, it's machine washable. So, all these things that I just looked at as what other pain points do I have as a consumer or as a mom running a day-to-day life, 3 kids and a dog, right? So that's really where I honed in and just kept checking off the boxes.
What's the name of the website?
So it's Lay-N-Go.com, Lay-N-Go.com. So it's lay it out and go, basically is what Lay-N-Go. We're patented innovative organizational solutions. It's really just a 4-in-1 mat, cleanup, storage, carry all in one.
Has Lego approached you to buy you out or anything?
We've talked to Lego many, many years. We've been going to Toy Fair prior to COVID, would have been 9-10 years. And they're obviously the largest, busiest booth at the whole Toy Fair. And yes, we have talked to them year in and year out. But yeah, nothing on the books right now.
You mentioned that you have 4 patents. Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you need 4 patents? And like, have you seen anybody infringing on your patent or?
Yes, unfortunately, that's been a lot of time that we've had to, I would say, not wasted time, but wasted time, because it takes away from our energy and our focus and our innovation that we could be doing. And instead, we're having to fight for our intellectual property. But yes, fortunately, we have been able to secure 4 U.S. utility patents, and we have been able to remove lots and lots of infringers. We work closely with the Amazon Council and their team. We participated in what was called the Patent Neutral Evaluation Program, and we have been able to remove thousands of copycats off of Amazon through that brand registry program. So beyond that, we've had other incidences on other .com platforms and other sales platforms, other stores that we've had to use our patent. So yes, we're fortunate enough to have gotten them, and we are, I guess, unfortunate enough to have implemented and used them.
Okay, but if somebody's listening and you say you have 4 patents, why do you need 4 patents?
We basically keep making it stronger by adding more claims and just continuing to add on to the original patent. Now, the 5th patent that we have pending will be it's an independent of the other 4. So that's a new concept and a new idea.
Had you hire the same patent attorney every time, or
Yes.
does it take about the same length of time too? And does it cost about the same type of money each time, or?
Yeah, pretty much. A little bit more in the upstart, right? When you're kind of ramping up and spending a lot of time going through it and tweaking it and working with that patent lawyer to make sure you're ready for submitting. So it was a little more, I would say, expensive to start out, to find the lawyer, pay the lawyer, tweak the thing, get it submitted. We had lots of rejections. So it was multiple rejections, and then having to go back and resubmit. And then from there on out, it's more just tweaking and adding to the claims and making it stronger. But yeah, it does take time and money, absolutely. But for us, it's been well worth it because we've been able to protect our IP. And most of them are offshore copycats. We've had a few non-international that we've been able to remove or destroy inventory. So yeah, we're glad. We're very happy that we've been able to protect our idea.
Let me ask you about going on like the television shows. It's great for promotion and getting the word out, right? But did you get real nervous when you were doing that? And
yeah, I mean, when you're on national TV, I was a little nervous. I was on Fox and Friends for a mompreneur segment, and then I was on Good Morning America for a women-owned segment. So yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking when the cameras start spinning around and you realize that there's millions of people watching. But it's all fun. It's all part of the adventure, right? It's all part of the challenge and putting yourself, getting yourself into that challenge of I can do this. It's kind of, after you finish, you do have to kind of pinch yourself and go, wow, what just happened? Because then you see the sales, it's like ding, 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 everybody just, the sales come in, and then you're like, wow, that's kind of fun. I can do that.
Okay, if you could just explain how you created your prototype and how did you know when you were done with the final prototype, and are you still kind of messing with the prototype?
Yeah, I mean, we're always in design and development stages, right? I mean, we're always trying to create a better product or extensions of the product. And it really just started with that idea of taking that sheet and how can I make a better mousetrap, right? I mean, the sheet was great, but I needed it to pull, I needed it to cinch, I needed it to close, I needed it, there were certain things that I wanted it to do. And so in the beginning, I was not in manufacturing. I didn't know anything about manufacturing. I didn't know anything about prototyping or getting a prototype. I literally just found a local seamstress and said, hey, I've got this idea, and this is kind of what I want it to look like. I went and did my research at REI because I really wanted like hardcore, really durable, that kind of ripstop. I wanted the best cords and the best cord locks. I really wanted quality, right? High quality, almost that outdoor adventure look and feel of durability. And so that was what I did. I went to REI and I started researching. I started looking and feeling the materials and how did I want it to, how thin, how thick. And then I started collecting all the materials and I just found a local seamstress. And that's really where I started. It's just, can you make this for me? It wasn't even a prototype. It was just, can you make this idea for me? And then that evolved into, I started going to a couple shows and just testing, like little local shows, just saying, I just have to see how much interest there is. And I just will never forget the first show I went to. I never even had product. I literally had just these quote on prototypes that you were calling them and these samples. And I got like 250 orders and I had no product. And so that's when I knew, I thought, oh my gosh, 250 orders I walked away with. And, this is this tiny little local show. Imagine if I could really scale this thing and manufacture it and make it for the masses, right? To get it into stores. And so to go back to your question, I guess that's really where it started. You have to start somewhere. You have to collect your research and get your materials and find the person that can make it. I knew I had a vision. It was in my head, but I had to get it out. I had to get it made. So it was just the easiest thing to just find somebody that could just, I'd work with her for weeks and weeks and weeks until I came up with this idea. Then I ended up having to finally go, well, I'm going to have to manufacture this thing after I got these orders. And was just digging around into my neighborhood, finding a friend who knew like a international upholstery guy for cars. And he was from Pakistan. And my neighbor said, hey, I bet he could make these things for you. And so I, drive in my minivan with all my like 3 little kids in the back, and I go into this industrial park, and there he is, upholstering cars. And I went in with this idea. Is there anything you can do to help me? I just laughed, thinking that's where this all started, that, I was so naive. I just didn't know. You don't know what you don't know, but you just make little steps, and that got me to my first order, which was just a couple hundred. And then I ended up moving from Pakistan to China, and from China to Cambodia. So it evolved. But to go back to your prototyping, it was just collecting the data, collecting the materials, getting that vision, getting it on paper, and then finding somebody that could just keep working through the process with me until I got it. And, the first one wasn't right. The second one wasn't right. The third one was, it took a lot of iterations to get to kind of where I wanted to be.
Where's it being manufactured today?
So it's manufactured in Cambodia. And we're working with a U.S. manufacturer, and hopefully we'll be able to have a U.S. line in 2022. But we got pretty hit by the tariffs when we were in China a year and a half ago. And so we ended up moving it from China to Cambodia.
How's been the manufacturing in Cambodia working out so far?
It's great. The quality is fabulous. It just is a lot longer lead time. So we added about a month to our lead time, which, makes it difficult because you really have to project and plan ahead.
How's the communication?
The communication is fine. We've worked with the same person that we were working with prior in China. So they have, interpreter and they basically communicate with the factory for us. So we haven't had any issues.
How about that emotional versus logical argument that you have in your head? You have an MBA, but then you're also a mom. You had to feel in every fiber of your being that this was a good idea. But the logical part, the other side of your brain, did it have to be satisfied with the data? Is that what your MBA and all that time in school was for?
Yeah, I think when I think of the risks that I do take more calculated risks. And that's probably because I do feel like I'm kind of right and left side brain, in a way. I have this very creative side, but I have a very logical side and a very thinker side. So I would say maybe that helps with some of the successes, that you're just not so far right or so far left. You're pretty in your lane down the middle, and you're bouncing back and forth. Well, does it feel right? Yeah, it feels right, but are the numbers right? Yes, the numbers are right. Well, let's test it. Okay, did it test? Yes, it tests. Okay, so I think I had a lot of that going on, and those are the kind of things I don't really think about. But when you do get asked the question, you go, yeah, I think I could say that I did a lot of that analysis, and we've been very fortunate to be able to work with some large vendors that are very number driven and analytics driven and would give us a lot of feedback. And also that customer feedback to me is always number one, because if you're not focused on your customer and you're focused on what you want, well, it doesn't really matter what you want. How about what the customer wants? And I've seen kind of the evolution over the 10 years. As you get older, you're this younger generation, well, maybe they don't like that same pattern or that same size or that same concept. And so you do have to continue to always tweak, because times change and habits change and shopping changes and trends change, right? So you do have to keep reminding yourself, like, what I did even 2 years ago may not be relevant anymore. Like, I have to keep pushing myself and make sure that the buyer changes and the place changes, right? There's just so many changes every day. Things change. So you just have to kind of keep with that idea of, I'm not going to fall short and fall back to being comfortable. You can't get comfortable. There's no comfort in this, being an entrepreneur. I mean, you're always pushing yourself, and there's never enough time in the day, as you know.
Sure. It was never in doubt to me that the internet was here to stay, and that was going to need to be a priority. When did you really understand that? And have you always just really focused learning about the internet and selling on the internet?
Yeah, I mean, we've always had online platforms. We've always had Amazon from the beginning. I remember going to Toy Fair and, people having signs saying, "We do not work with Amazon," right? And we've always worked with kind of the cutting edge .com platforms, whether it was Open Sky or, there's just so many that I can tell you that we've worked with throughout the years. And so that's always been a priority. We've always had our own .com. And I think with COVID, we've really seen a trend of what, with all the small businesses and the shops having to be closed, everything moved online. And that was coming and that was there. It was just accelerated. And of course, there's the supply chain issue right now, which I'm sure you're aware of, and everything's backed up and delayed, and it's pretty messy. It's going to be an interesting Q4.
If you were starting a business today or starting to manufacture today, because of what your understanding is of the tariffs, the supply chain issues that are existing, would you really take a closer look at Mexico or South America?
Yeah, we've explored that area multiple times. And yes, I definitely would. I think that, it's just, our supply chain was so disrupted in 2019 with the tariffs and having to move everything. And that's just such a disruption to your business, right? You've got this well-oiled machine, and you've got this trust, and you've got the quality assurance, and you've got everything aligned. And then boom, your pricing went from let's say you were paying 17%, now you're paying 14% tariffs. Well, you've got all these contracts in place, and you can't go back, let's say, to one of the big box stores and say, well, my tariffs just went up, 30%. I'm raise. You can't. I mean, that's just, it doesn't happen like that. You've got to eat those costs. So I would say, yeah, it has definitely, we've seen a lot of changes in the past for five years starting, but definitely I'd say 3 and 4 years with the administration changing and everything that's going on with China and COVID, and it's just piling. It's one thing after another, right? That small businesses and businesses in general have gotten hit with.
I want to ask you about social media. Do you have like a social media manager at this point? Does that person handle everything? Or
we do. Yep, we do. And, we've got all the social channels, as you would expect, Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and all the favorites. And we try to keep them fresh and new. And we do have somebody that we hired to do that. But we work closely with them. Like, he'll interview us a lot. We'll put a lot of personal, just some insight into what we do behind the scenes, just to keep it very, real, right? Like, we're real people doing this daily. This is really what we love to do and how we do it. So we try to keep it fun.
How about the Goldman Sachs 10,000 small businesses? Is that what you're up to? these days?
I finished that program. That's a 5-month program that I did last year, and I love the program. I'm still super involved, and they still have seminars and webcasts, and I'm still an active alum of that program, and I'm always recruiting for trying to get other people to get apply. But yeah, I love that program, and I would say anybody that's out there that wants a kind of condensed MBA type program, apply. It's strongly advised that you look into it because they have a wonderful, the professors and programming that they provide, the data and the templates were super, super helpful. So, and the people I met, the networking, all the other, entrepreneurs that I met in my cohort were really, really amazing. So I would say, check it out.
Well, Amy, I want to thank you for being our guest today on Invention Stories on YouTube. But before I let you go, I'd like to ask you one final question, and that is,
if somebody had an idea for an invention, and Amy, and they came up to you and they said, hey, I know very little about the inventing world or being an entrepreneur, and they ask you for your advice, what advice would you give them?
I would just say, to not give up. I mean, I think there's so many times that I had the ability to just go, this is just too hard, or I'm just never going to get this off the ground. I always look at myself and just think of the grit and the grace and the growth that I've had because I didn't give up. And of course, always grateful for where I am today and how my journey. It's a really fun journey. It's not easy. I mean, I think there's something about being an entrepreneur is just, you've got this internal, just this internal itch to, I can do it. I know I can do it. And just, do you believe in yourself? And I think surround yourself by people that support you and look for resources of people that will help you. It takes effort. It takes a lot of risk and effort and have fun. I mean, you have to have fun because this is it's not an easy adventure. It's an adventure. It can be a really fun adventure. It can be a scary adventure. It can be a disappointing adventure, but it's an adventure. And I would say just have fun and surround yourself by those that are willing to support you. And if they can't give you the answers, they know somebody else that can and can help. And I would say that's my advice is to go for it. But have fun and take the risk and find people that have been through the experience and can give you wise advice.
Women inventors in the 7%. Frances Prado on her LinkedIn account said that at the time, only 7% of sole inventors in the United States are women. Or what does it mean for you to be a woman inventor today?
I love that question. And I think what it means to me is, you look at the broader spectrum of why we're here, right? And what is your purpose in life? And how did I make a difference? I hope that if anything, I've given my own children some sort of insight and incentive to find a passion and do what you love. And if you have an idea, don't give up, go for it, And they've been able to watch for 10 years this idea that I had in my basement cleaning up Lego to on the shelves of Target. And so, I think it's the message that you give as a woman inventor, being, I've had 3 children. I've been able to raise a family. We've built a house. We've built a family. We've built a business. We've built a brand. And, it's really fun. It's fun stuff. And looking at that next generation and giving them some hope and some encouragement to do what you love, do what makes you tick. I love that percentage that, I wish it was more, but I feel it's kind of cool to be in that little tiny percent that, I've been able to do that. So thank you. Thanks for sharing that.